honestly, when I was in the finals, like I was doing my best to take it all in, but I was not realizing like, dude, I am like on the floor of the NBA finals. And so kind of taking a step back and like you talked about rewatching everything. Oh my gosh, I've watched our highlights from the playoffs so many times.
Hell yeah.
Welcome back to episode 78 of the 505 podcast. Today we welcome a very special guest. He hails from the land of Newport Beach, California. He's a storyteller, video producer, photographer. The guy does it all. Please welcome Trey Mena.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Very hyped to have you. You just popped into town for a few days, so we swooped you up, took you onto the show, and I really want you to give me a great score on this one-handed crack. I have high faith in you.
Come on.
Okay,
Nice.
come on,
Okay.
baby.
Yeah,
Yep,
legal.
Yep, boom.
Keep going.
Oh shit!
You know,
I don't know if I've ever seen a double dent.
hulked
That's
it?
the first. Oh, you popped the one out. Popped the one out. It's a huge dent.
you did get it open.
Those are gonna dock some scores. Yeah, we got a lot of dents going on. We're gonna allow about a 2.9 to start us off, baby. Come on,
Not an
Trey.
NA. Not an NA though.
Not an NA, and that's what matters. You know, you've been shooting sports for a long time. Started out at Baylor, then we ended up going to the Pistons out of school. Then we popped over to the Miami Heat. Now you're doing your own thing. So I want to kind of dive back to the days of Baylor to start us out. What originally made you pick up a camera there, and why sports specifically?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, I bought my first camera because I just wanted to document memories of my friends. Kind of what you're getting to do with this little vlog, and we're getting to see into your life. But wanted to be on my phone less, and my dad did a great job when I was young documenting like me and my siblings' lives. So now I can like look back when I was whatever age and see what I was doing. So I want to do the same. And I actually, before I went to Baylor, I was playing basketball at a small school in Chicago, transferred there. And then the camera kind of just became my way to stay in the game. Wasn't good enough to keep playing, didn't want to coach, and found a third option.
And so at Baylor, what did it look like when you first started working with the team? Were you mainly doing video? Were you doing photo? Because you're obviously a dual threat. I feel like that's rare nowadays to be good at both. And so shout out to you for being awesome at both.
It's hard to do what we do, you know. These guys just don't really get it. We're a couple
More specialists. More specialists.
Like a surgeon, dude. Like a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a general doctor, dude.
These guys are MDs, and that's fine.
God, we can just do it all, you know.
Come on.
It's not my fault. We're good at everything we do.
That's what I'm saying. It can't be all of us. But so I started as a student photographer, shooting football and basketball. That was my junior year, and then going into my senior year was when it was like a year and a half, 2 years before NIL went live, and the basketball team was looking for someone to just handle all the players' social medias, photo and video.
Were you there when Nooney was there?
I was not. I missed.
He was
Nooney.
not. So he went to my high school, and then had a similar like JUCO transfer, and then
Yeah.
And you've seen the meme about the kid has not been. A kid sees father for first time in 26 years or whatever.
No, I haven't.
It's a true story. That was his life, dude. It's the craziest thing ever.
Crazy. It's
And
like
that's him?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. We'll talk about it later. But it was wild. He went to my high school and he went to Baylor, and it was like
Awesome.
similar time.
Gotcha.
So I had to check in. He
to
played basketball.
specify, that was an ESPN title during
Yes.
a college basketball
Yeah.
game. Kid has not seen his dad in 26 years.
What?
It was
Or
insane.
I think it was like 21, 22.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll get
Whatever.
into it later.
Did your desire to go to Baylor stem from you growing up playing ball, knowing that they have a really good program and like kind of wanting to be around that? Like, did you want to go to a school that had a really good sports program?
Yes and no. Honestly, going to Baylor stemmed from like I'm a Christian and grew up going to a Christian summer camp in Missouri actually called Kanakuk, and there was like 400 people from there that went to Baylor. So when I was transferring, I was looking for a place to call home. Went and visited just some friends at Baylor, looked around and knew a ton of people. I was like, yeah, this already feels like home.
Did you feel comfortable with video and photo once you got that job, or were you kind of mid and like really getting your bearings like as a student? Like I wasn't great like when I started out as a student, so you just hopped into it there at like an elite program. Did you feel like you had catching up to do? Did you have good mentors there?
Yeah, I wasn't good at all.
Well, I look at the stuff from Baylor. That's kind of a lie, but okay. But when you started, you felt like you weren't up to the standard of what you wanted to be at.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. That I kind of was just dabbling, figuring out as I go. I mean, there's a lot of, I wish I had studied more before I got into it, but I've always been a guy who just picks it up and then figures it out. Which is, I mean, been a blessing. It's worked out so far. But yeah, I was really just pressing the red button and
Is the program like really intense there for like the type of content they're, because that's when they were like real fucking good, right? Like did they win the ship when you were there?
We did. My senior year, we won the national championship.
Movie.
That
wild.
was nuts.
It's crazy.
So yeah, was like the demands really intense that year, I assume?
So my situation was so unique. I didn't have a boss.
Okay.
It was just make whatever you think you want to make, and if it's cool, we'll post it.
That's sick,
And
dude.
it literally only went on the player's account, so I didn't have any rules for music or licensing or anything, or I could put, I don't know, any footage from anything anywhere on there.
So it wasn't going on like a team account. It was going strictly to the players.
Strictly to the players.
That is crazy. What
was
a great
wild.
recruiting tactic.
Yeah, right?
You're just seeing all these crazy lit edits. It's insane.
You're just like, I'm gonna get you bangers for the gram. Like, don't even worry.
Like, little baby, put that in there. No,
That new Drake.
doesn't matter what they're saying. Who cares? Fucking put it over the edit.
Not a thing. The only thing they asked was like I put this little like Baylor like graphic at the end of every video, and like towards the end I just stopped putting it in. And even then they were like, all right, whatever.
That's funny. Chase and I went to Wisconsin together, and he's a year younger school wise than me. His freshman year, my sophomore year, we made it to the national championship. And I just remember, Chase, were you on State Street once we beat, it was Kentucky, right?
Yep.
So it was the year that Wisconsin beat the undefeated Kentucky team.
Sheesh.
And we just rushed State Street and we're like 38-1. And it was just lit. And then we were pretty sad because we lost.
I was actually there for the Duke when we lost. I was on State Street when people were like sad. You know where I was when we beat Kentucky? Newport Beach.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Come on,
Spring break,
949.
Spring break. I was in like a little sports bar and it was fucking, oh my God, I was so excited. I remember walking home with my brother and he was just like, I cannot wait to like watch highlights until my dick literally falls off. You know when like something that great happens and you just want to like live it some more? You know? Fucking best.
Dude,
Anyways.
I sometimes will go back and like watch that game. Like, acting like you don't actually know what's gonna happen.
Oh my goodness.
He's like, oh shit, we
made it.
You like bet on it with your girl. You're like, he's gonna make this shot.
But there's like there's a crazy camaraderie that goes around with like college sports. It's like even it's way more lit than professional sports.
more.
And being that you're like around the players, like what is it like on a national championship run and winning the national championship and getting to document that?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like it was one of those things. So the year before we won was COVID, and we were going into the tournament as a number 1 seed. So we actually, honestly, I think we would have won it that year too. But so that basically same team minus like 2 people plus 1 more person was the team coming back that ended up winning the national championship. So it was like a family from the jump. And like day 1 of practice, training camp, whatever, it was like family. They're playing all sorts of games. That was actually the bubble too, NCAA bubble. So I mean, it was camaraderie through the moon.
I also feel like you're the same age as these players. So I feel like it might be a little bit easier to kind of like bond with them as opposed to shooting pro sports where you're dealing with someone who's, you know, mid to late 30s or even in their 20s. How were you able to like form that bond with those players? Was it just like pretty seamless because like you grew up playing ball and like you're just like a cool dude?
Yeah, dude. I'm a part of it was actually, I didn't mention this, but my first year at Baylor, I wasn't even doing content. I was a manager for the basketball team.
Oh,
so I was in there playing defense and guarding them, wiping their sweat. Like, so it was like, oh, this
motherfuckers
that's
up.
what I'm saying. Like, just hoping that I didn't get put on a highlight. But but no, so I literally had like a full year before I started doing the content stuff of being around the guys every day and in the gym just as much, if not they were.
How do you kind of work with that relationship of trying to get the shot, but also respecting their space? Because I feel like it's so important for what we do, filming specifically like professional sports. It's like you don't want to bug them, but you also want to get your clip. And it's important to kind of have an understanding of that working relationship, that we're not there to obviously bother them. And so like, how do you kind of go about that at a college level?
For sure. I mean, college, and it's a lot lower level at the college than professional, obviously, in terms of the stakes. But it's always been in my head of like, okay, what do I actually need for my edit? Will I survive without this shot of him in a moment where he might not want to be filmed? And if I will, then I'm not recording. If it's something like, oh my God, like I got to get this, like the moment popping into my head is Adam Sandler was brought into our locker room this past year. This is jumping to professional, but obviously you're rolling on that, even though it was like a special moment. But it's something I've learned from a guy like David Sosna from the Suns. He's kind of been my mentor of prioritize relationship over content, and it'll last you longer in the long run.
Definitely. No, and I think we can see it from the work that you put out all throughout the year. And so after, we're going to hop over the Pistons for a second because I want to focus on this run that just happened. Yeah. We just went on this crazy championship run with the Miami Heat, and you were able to go on the road for all of that, seeing, all the things throughout the entire playoffs, which is crazy. Yeah. I really wish we would have met you guys there, but what was the experience like for covering a team you covered a championship team in college and now you're getting to cover it on the pro level? What was the differences that you noticed from covering those two different teams?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing would just be the noise around it. Like at Baylor, we were murdering everyone in the tournament. We barely lost any games in the regular season, and still nobody cared until we won the national championship.
Wow.
Miami, it's like we win the play-in games and we win game one against the Bucks, and like we're on every media platform, and it's all anybody could talk about. So I was just nuts, like going into every game, seeing like thousands of media people there to shoot, talking about us, and as we were just trying to prove everybody wrong. It was, the stakes, the level, the amount of people watching and talking about it was crazy. How
do you go about preparing for a big game like that? What's kind of your process on the back end of, you got your gear already, like besides the gear's set, what more from like a narrative standpoint are you looking for when you go out to shoot something like that?
Yeah, going into the finals, I was the only camera for the Heat there. Obviously we have access to every broadcast camera, but it was just, I gotta leave that thing rolling. It was shoot everything, everything besides locker room pregame, but it was every moment, every shoe being tied, every whatever, and finding a way to shoot it in a way that somebody else might not be. I think is more so my thought.
Do you have clips of Jimmy Butler just being a dog on people?
Yeah.
That's so fucking dope. He's such a beast. Yeah. Does he say some just crazy shit?
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
As everyone suspects.
Do you have a certain deliverables that you're producing like per game? I know Braden, like he's editing during the games and sending off clips to post highlights on social, but I guess what's the difference between like, you said you didn't have a boss and you were kind of making stuff for the players at Baylor.
Much more
similar color.
Bigger, better school,
similar color.
And it just happens.
So I feel like you're talking about, you don't really have like deliverables, really things that you have to be making. At Baylor, you're kind of just like saucing up some sick edits. Was it kind of similar to that with the Heat, or do you have kind of more specific deliverables that you have to turn around?
Yeah, during the finals, nothing set. But during the season, definitely there was like a massive list of stuff I needed to cook up. But during the finals, it was more, the only thing we plan is if we're doing like an arrival video. Let's say we like Jimmy, was hurt for a couple games. Like we need to put like a clip of him walking in, or him showing up to game one of the finals, because that's like the noise. He's our guy. But other than that, it's just going off what happens. Like a big play in game, we have a system called Live View where we send it out to an editor, which is a blessing that I didn't have to edit my own stuff in game.
You just focus on shooting it,
just letting it rip. And then post game, it's like what happened. What are the big moments? Who went crazy? Was it a team win? Did Jimmy have 56? Did Tyler hit a game winner? What kind of happened? Then we go from there.
Are you making edits around like that specific thing? Like Jimmy getting 56, you're going and you're talking with your social team and they're like, hey Trey, like I think this would be a good call, and you're obviously like confirming it and then going to cut it? Or is it all being shipped to the editor?
All being shipped to the editor.
Oh wow! So you really get to focus on just nailing the best clips.
Exactly.
That's so nice.
That's how I would want it.
It was a blessing at the Heat. For sure.
That's so nice.
For sure. I did not have it like that in Detroit. I know most teams don't, but there's a great infrastructure.
And so what did the rest of your team look like at that specific job? How many other people did you have that were helping specifically shoot, and then how many editors?
It's complex, but there's a broadcast team, an in-arena team, and then a digital content team. And I was on the digital content team. And then there's a social media team. Social media is just posting, and they did a little bit of photos. But in any one night, there would be me shooting, an editor, and then someone else to help, whether it's help the editor or help pull sound or help whatever, kind of like a bystander to whatever needed to get done. But every game night, about three people.
Are you doing photos and videos still, like at the finals when you're the only camera for the Heat? Or is it just video?
Just video, except for like little moments.
Got it.
Like every timeout basically looks the same. So when they're in the huddle, ripping a bunch. When they're walking out of the huddle, ripping a bunch. And then once game action starts.
Are you like dual wielding, like a photo and a video camera? Or, yeah.
Got a little.
What are you using?
I had that guy right there, C70 for video.
Nice.
And then up until a week ago, I was a Sony A9 II guy for photo.
Oh, whoa. Those are crazy.
Now I'm a Sony A1 guy for photo.
Oh.
You guys like not having a flip out screen.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
No
'cause
flip out
it's-
screen is brutal.
Well, just put your eye in the thing, bro.
Fun fact, I just came back today. I was at a Sony event like
They
for
have a
the
band
week.
camp kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, fire.
He's mad he
That's
didn't get
a
invited.
band camp.
Yeah,
That's
that's
But
awesome.
I was talking to a guy who is like in charge of creating new products for Sony.
Oh, wow.
And so he came up to me and my buddy Jayhawk, and he was like, do you guys have anything that you guys like would like changed in these cameras
let's
or
go.
like ideas for new products? And I would go, yeah, you guys need to make an A1 with a flip out screen.
Right.
Because no, seriously.
Yeah.
And it was actually really cool because I was like, oh, I also want these and these and these.
Right.
That's awesome.
But yeah, the A1 does rip. It's really nice to have just like a killer hybrid camera.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I just don't, with the flip out screen, I just don't understand why not. I mean, I'm like
Yeah.
fine with that, but like what was like, I don't know, the thought
I
process.
think so they can make like the A1 V2, you know,
Yeah.
that flips out. And it's like, now spend $8,000 more, you know?
That is Sony's thing. Make every camera just close to perfect.
Yeah.
Buy the next one.
That's what they always do.
You're on the road for this playoff run. Are you going to every single game as well, like all 82 games?
I technically that was like technically the job, but we would like take road trips off. So like I wouldn't die, or like my buddy has a wedding, I'll go. I probably did like 95% of road games, but then home games, we gave a lot of those to other shooters.
For like those like series, do you want them to, like the Boston series, right? When you were up 3-0, you're like, can we just end this so like I can like get a little rest before the
Yeah.
finals?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
was
yeah.
was everyone
Oh,
just
yeah.
so frustrated?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We like, yeah.
That was
we
wild.
thought it was over. I was
Yeah,
like,
right.
I was like texting people
Yeah.
like in Miami, like, oh, I'm finally having a couple days off.
Yeah,
Go get
dude.
dinner.
Yeah.
Frick.
Yeah.
We're going to 7.
Are you also ice bathing? Like, are you you're working hard just as much as the players. Like, what's the recovery look like, dude?
Oh, man.
The playoff game? Like, we're thinking we're doing 82 games.
Oh, and you're traveling, dude. That's a recovery. You gotta recover from that. Ice
Pelican
bath.
cases are so heavy. Like,
Yeah, the Pelicans are, dude.
it's so annoying.
Yeah. Somebody's got to carry the heavy cameras, you know?
Right.
So how do you stay sane throughout the year in this specific job? I feel like a lot of people leave, and you did leave. and there's a high turnover in professional sports, you know? And
Very
so
No concerts. We're just, I did concerts for a little bit and left.
yeah, I think that there is a high turnover granted to the demand of the job. And so for those that don't know, when the season starts, it's all hands on deck.
Yep.
And you're on call all the fucking time, you
Yep.
know? And so you really have to love documenting or love like what you do to be a part of, you know, either a college team or a pro team. And so how did you specifically stay sane? Because I feel like I get DMs a lot of, oh, I'm burning out and I'm not protecting my energy, but like, what did you do throughout this crazy run? Because also people don't talk about in the NBA, a lot of teams are done, you know, way earlier. They get fucking 4 months off and they're just
Yep.
kicking it. If your team's not good, they're just hanging, you know?
Shooting for the
Chilling.
Wolves would be great. Unfortunately, not this year though. Come on.
Yeah, you know, so they get that off season, and so you really don't you don't get an off season if your team goes all the way, which is like what you want, obviously.
Yeah.
But how'd you stay sane during that whole time?
It was really me trying to stay grateful for what I was getting to do, which let me not like act like it was easy. It was brutal. Like it's hours on hours. You're on the same schedule with players. If it's a back to back, you finish a game, you fly to the next city, you're getting in bed at like 5 a.m. and then you're waking up at 10 for shoot around and over and over and over again. Except when you get to the hotel, you got to send footage, you got to edit, and you got to do all this and you got to do all that. But really just trying to stay sober minded and be like, I am sitting crisscross applesauce on an NBA baseline. Like I can't really complain about this, you know. Getting to be around the highest level of basketball in the game, with getting to watch Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, all these guys, and sit on a plane, couple rows behind Eric Spoelstra. Like it was just like, as a basketball guy, like it was mind boggling what I was getting to do and be a part of. But there's definitely moments that I was like, this is too much, and obviously I did quit, and so it was not what I wanted to keep doing. But yeah. A huge thing with the recovery, though, I didn't get to mention. They don't talk about what that hotel is like.
Those hotels are very
fire.
nice.
Those are crazy, bro. The sauna is how you recover.
You get to see those hotels, and you're like, well, man, when we went to New York, we stayed like a Holiday Inn, and I'm like, this just is not what I am used to.
Dude, you kind of ruined it.
It was kind of ruined
traveling commercial.
Ruined traveling in hotels for like the end of time. You're like, Four Seasons or bust, dude.
Literally.
Because you're on a private team plane, I assume.
Yeah.
So like travel is fucked for you guys, dude. Like welcome to Coach and the Holiday Inn, you know.
Literally, bro.
Holiday Inn Express, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh man, it was crazy too. Like the plane is so nice, and it doesn't matter. Like I lost my ID on a trip, and it didn't matter. They were just like, "Yeah, bro, you good? Like, just get on the plane."
I have a question. So when you get onto like an NBA plane, you get screened sometimes randomly, and so they have like a list of people, and so most people don't get fucking screened. I got screened every single flight that we went on. And so I had a joke with AD security guard. His name's a GP. He's like, yo, Fig, are you ever going to like not get screened? And I'm like, no, dude, like I'm fucked. And randomly one time in Canada, they let me go through and we were like, he's like, you made it, baby. Like, let's go. Do you ever get screened on his flights?
So like, dude,
is it just a me thing? Like,
every single
time, bro.
It's probably all of like the fucking shit you're carrying. You know, it looks like you're carrying a bomb, you know, a little bit. The Pelican case. It's like, it's just saying, dude. Why, you know, they're not screening LeBron. It's because he just got a Pelican case, not because it's LeBron.
True.
It's so funny, dude.
Okay, question. You played ball, and I feel like a lot of people who grow up playing sports, at some point, like to make it to the league, it's such a slim percentage that you're actually going to make it to the league, right? But you still have this love for the game. Mm-hmm. So you pick up a camera and you start shooting at Baylor. Was the goal kind of like, I have a way to make it to the league in a different way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, I going back to talking about David Sosna, like he opened my eyes like immediately, like, yo, bro, you can do this. Like you can get there. And that was the goal from day one. Let's get to the NBA.
Yeah.
Whatever. And figuring out that's honestly why I started doing video. Because as Fig will attest to, unless you're a AK Fieldster, you can't really just be a photographer in the NBA.
It's like one of the hardest things to be a sole photographer. We count them on one hand, probably.
Literally.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's very tight-knit group. And yeah, like video, I think, and the apps are video first nowadays.
Yep.
So I feel like they're becoming, more prominent, that we do need even more video shooters than they had in the past.
So someone who is getting into video, they're really into sports. Maybe they're starting at the high school level, or maybe they're even shooting in college. What piece of advice would you give to them to maybe be able to take their stuff to the next level or position themselves to be able to get to the league and film for the NBA at some point?
Yeah, the biggest thing I learned and did was study how NBA teams were doing content and study the way it looked, study the way it was shot, study the shots they were getting, because when you hire someone for a job, you want them to be able to do exactly what that job is, and obviously take it to another level and do it better. But I was kind of coming up in the age of like these AAU videographers that were having spaceships fly across the screen. It's like, bro, nobody NBA team, they don't give a frick about your spaceships.
It's crazy nowadays, bro. I'll see edits and someone will send it to me like, this is dope. I'm like, that was the worst thing I've ever fucking seen in my whole life, bro. Like they got like whooshing, like I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
It's like a Star Wars song playing.
Lasers coming out of the eyes.
Yeah,
literally coming
bro.
out.
They're like breaks the backboard. I'm like, what about just like a clean video? Like,
Right.
I feel like enough people aren't focusing on that.
Yep.
I feel like that's a lot of my advice to people is you see like an edit nowadays and I'm like, dude, you just put 47 edits in under 30 seconds. Like, what did we just watch?
I saw nothing.
No ad, no, none of the biggest teams or any ad agency will ever produce something like that, and I feel like people need to hear that.
Yeah,
because it's like cool and flashy, and it's like, oh, maybe that gets clicks on social, but are you actually telling a story? Does anyone know what happened, or did they just get epilepsy from like watching your video?
And it's the same reason. Like I feel like with team stuff, you want to see the stuff you don't get to see. Right?
Yeah.
Like with someone on the ground, it's like, I want to see like that little moment where he's like looking and it's like intense and like that says something, not just like a crazy, like, what you can see that on TV, like pregame montage or whatever the fuck, like you want to see like the moments that you wouldn't really see. And you kind of want them like raw and cool.
Yeah, totally. I feel like they're
100%.
missing moments, they're just going for like the flashy highlight instead of like the reaction of Jimmy or him like hugging Tyler after they had like a crazy bucket. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's just a really great piece of advice because you can relate it to any form of content. It's not just sports. If you want to work with Nike or Apple or any other major brand, make sure your stuff looks like what that brand's content looks like to position yourself to a point where you can potentially work with them, because like you said, they're not going to hire you if your stuff doesn't look like the kind of stuff they're already producing.
Exactly. No matter how good you are, like they're not going to change their brand for you.
Exactly.
Totally. And I didn't get that when I remember when I first got that job, I was talking to people there and they're like explaining to us when we're hiring interns, like, we're not looking for someone who wants to come in here and absolutely change and shake up like everything that we're doing. You know, like, hey, we got to change.
Whoa. We're going to totally revamp
what you guys got going on, got to change that, you know? And I think most of the teams when they're hiring or any ad agency, they just want help. You know, we need someone to come in here and actually be, you know, one of the pegs in the machine to like help this thing continue to grow and help it build, you know? And so after this season wraps up, we get done with the season. You're in South Beach still. What is kind of going through your mind? What were your thoughts on this whole year?
How did you like living in South Beach, by the way?
Good question. I still live there.
Okay.
Oh,
I did move 20 minutes south of the city, so I'm getting out a little bit, but love it and hate it. It's a lot, which makes for a lot of fun, and there's always something going on. There's always there's a Miami Music Week. I didn't even know that was a thing, F1, whatever. But it's also just toxic and gross.
Miami's a different beast.
Yeah, bro, it's insane.
I spent some time there during when I was touring. The DJs had a residency at, they would do
Which one?
Live.
Yeah.
And not 11, because that's the
Story.
Yes, Story and Live, and pretty wild nights, but the place is crazy.
Oh yeah, dude, it turns into 5 a.m. like that.
I've never seen anything like it. Like they would go on. That was the latest they would go on for any set. They would start at They would start at 1:30 in the morning. In Vegas, you would start at 1. So 1:30 in the morning, and they would. I'm too loud?
No, I'm saying it's too late, dude.
Oh.
So late.
You're so bewildered.
Dude,
Holy shit.
Then,
my bedtime.
It would start at 1:30, and they would go till 4. But normally the club is emptying out by you know 3 maybe, because people are it's too late. Packed. I've never seen anything like it. And they get off, and the next DJ comes on at 4 a.m.
And then
still packed. I'm
6 a.m. It kind of dies down.
Is that every night? That's what's going on?
It's mostly Wednesday through Saturday. On just
Yeah, God takes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
actually, I lied. Sunday is actually the night that Live gets jumping.
Yeah. Really?
They call it church. It's terrible. It's such a bad place.
Way.
It's a terrible city.
So what were your thoughts on kind of this whole season after it wrapped and you've had time to really think about everything that unfolded?
I think I took a week to 2 weeks off. Actually came out here home to Newport and just try to decompress and think about everything, because when you're in it, and I know you can attest to this, you're not thinking about what you're actually doing. And honestly, when I was in the finals, I was doing my best to take it all in, but I was not realizing dude, I am on the floor of the NBA finals. And so kind of taking a step back and you talked about rewatching everything. Oh my gosh, I've watched our highlights from the playoffs so many times.
Hell yeah.
And just, man, going back to the playing game, I think I texted you even. We played the Bulls in the second playing game. I was booking flights the next day to go to Coachella. I was we're done. This is over. Season's off. And then all of a sudden I'm flying on the team plane to Milwaukee. Then all of a sudden I'm flying on the team plane to New York, and then Boston, and then we're in Denver for the finals. Just trying to wrap my head around how crazy, unique, special our playing game 8 seed to the finals was nuts.
1 in a million.
Has
Literally.
that happened before? Has an 8 seed?
We've never had a play-in, but
yeah.
But has an 8 seed ever made it to the finals?
Once, but they've never won. So we would have been the first.
Wild.
And it sucks to
Freaking Jokic.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
realistically, and I don't know if you can comment on this, but it's the worst case scenario, losing in the finals for a sports videographer, because that means you spent the most amount of time shooting, but you also didn't get to win, right? I feel you don't have to answer, but I feel that would suck.
Playoff bonus was smooth.
Didn't know y'all got those.
Yeah, I didn't know you guys got those either.
It's not great, but it's more than nothing.
Fire.
So it's every series you're
keep it coming.
Yeah.
The funniest, so you get per diem when you're on the road.
Right.
You get a check per day.
Yeah.
Figs told us.
He gets fat per DM, dude.
Should we talk numbers? Can we talk numbers on the pod?
I can't. I
don't work there anymore. $183 a day.
No way, dude.
Yes,
That's crazy.
So we get, and that's staff. The players get more. We beat the Bucks, finish the series. I don't even know if this should go in here, but Kevin Love's in the locker room chanting, per diem, per diem. That is crying.
Dude, I love Kevin. You know, Timberwolves guy. I love Kevin Love.
Yeah,
I
come
didn't
on,
realize
let's go
the
Wolves.
players would get per diem either.
Makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
They
yeah.
do
On
not need it.
Wait, if the per diem worked into their contract,
No.
or it's just like
because it's for food.
Because it's like, yeah, it's like
for
when you're
your
traveling.
Food. For your food when you're traveling.
They don't
When you're
need
having-
that.
Yeah, they don't.
When you have the 3 team meals a day, you got to have money to have your other 3 meals a day.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
gotta.
you
And-
got to have 6 meals a
I mean,
day.
you're grown boys. Dude.
Yeah,
You
that's
are
what I'm
grown
saying.
boys, dude. I shoot like a lot of car stuff. Hyundai's per diem is a third of what you get,
Ooh.
and we're in New York.
Get
dude.
some money.
Yeah,
They're
so
put-
I'm just spending my own money, dude.
They love you guys
Yeah,
at the
it's
Motel
tough.
6.
Yeah, no, I actually get solid hotels,
okay.
but then you just got to eat at Chipotle the whole time, or else you're just gonna lose money.
We like Chipotle.
Yeah, I love it. Actually. Shout out Chipotle.
Dude, I think my per diem was like $25. It was bullshit. I swear to God.
You just like
was
eating
bad.
ramen.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Okay, so the year ends, right? We finished the NBA season. You're back in Newport. And I remember you called me and we were chatting on the phone. You're like, yo, Fig, I think I might bounce. And most people, when they leave a job like that, they usually have maybe a retainer set up. And you're like, yeah, I'm done with this section of my life. And I want to move on. I want to go find something bigger and better. Because I think, you know, you always had that in store for you. And I knew from your work ethic, from just how you are as a person, that you weren't going to have any trouble getting these connections. But that was a huge leap of faith to leave secure income. You're out in Miami, away from your family, away from a lot of your friends that are out here. What was kind of going through your mind? Take me back through the final decision of like going into the office that day. You're like, I'm going to leave. Like I'm going to put in my 2 weeks and I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah. It took a lot. But it was one of those things, as I mentioned before, like I am religious. I've never felt more like peace about anything. And it was one of those things where there was little things climbing of like, okay, I got offered, like Davion Mitchell was on that championship team at Baylor, one of my good friends still. He was like, hey, come to Costa Rica with me. Wouldn't be able to do that because it was the middle of Las Vegas Summer League. So I would have had to be there if I was working for the Heat. Little other things, like there was an event I was hosting that the Heat weren't going to allow me to host. It's a couple other things happening that just kind of clashed heads, and it was just like, let's go. And I think I kind of just realized that like my mental health, my happiness, my whatever was bigger than working for an NBA team. And I was kind of over sacrificing all that for just the title of I'm the Miami Heat videographer, photographer.
How much of your identity was wrapped up in being their videographer? I struggled with something similar, and I talked about it on a whole podcast episode once I stopped touring with the DJ duos that I was touring with. It was like a lot of my identity was wrapped up in being able to say that I was their content guy, their photographer, videographer. And so I had to realize that like the reason I think I held on to the job longer than I should have was because my identity was wrapped up into that. So did that at all affect your decision and like play a part into deciding whether to leave or not?
I think if I hadn't have taken like that 2 weeks just away, it would have. Because I was planning to stay for another year or whatever, but kind of took that break and detached myself from it and got around all my friends that like didn't give a frick that I worked for the Heat. And they're gonna love me if I worked for In-N-Out. Like it didn't matter. It was like, wow, there was just, why am I doing this? And it was, let me not put it down. Like it was the best job in the world. I had the coolest job I could ever have dreamt of. But it was just kind of running me to the ground, and I kind of had bigger dreams. But yeah, it was hard because in Miami they really want you to bring value, like in the city. And so now I'm kind of like, I meet somebody, they're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I do photography and videography. And it used to be like for the Heat, and now I don't know. But also, who cares?
If people care enough about that, like you don't want to be hanging around
not
them
at all.
anyway.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Preach.
Yeah.
But I feel like it is kind of nice to be able to like say something sexy just
It is.
because it's like, it's easy. Like, film for the fucking Heat. And they're like, oh,
It's like
dude,
concise
way.
too.
you trying to come to
it's
live
like-
till 4 a.m.?
Right.
It's like a VIP table.
Can I get like 12 tickets for tomorrow?
Yeah, literally.
Oh yeah, dude, I got
Do
you,
you get that all the
bro.
time?
Those ticket tags.
Oh my goodness, dude. There's actually, speaking of the tickets, there's a guy named JD Dubois who works for the Lakers. I'm sure you've gotten to know him. He always puts something on a story like, if you want tickets, go to Ticketmaster.
There's like a screenshot of like text.
Yeah.
That's funny. How lit is Costa Rica? I was there earlier this year and it was like amazing.
Dude, it's smooth.
Yeah.
The funny thing about going there with Davion is he's a workaholic. And so we were up at 6 a.m. working out, and then we'd go to the gym and we'd lift, and so it was vacation, but really he was there to work, which we went across to another country to work out.
That's
it was still a vibe.
You went, where else did you go to work out? There like wasn't a basketball court that you could find there, you just said?
No, we did. Then we'd go to a weight room after that. So he was doing 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
In Costa Rica.
And what did the content look like that you were making for him when you were out there?
Oh, I mean, it was beautiful. The gyms, I mean, it was palm trees all behind the court. And the whole goal out there was to kind of make like a little mini movie, Costa Rica documentary, whatever. Just kind of show him and the fellows and what they were doing and what he does kind of in an off season. Yeah.
I love that off-season content. I always buy into it. I'm always like, Ben Simmons, he's looking ripped again.
Comeback kid.
Yeah, comeback kid. I always do every year, dude. I'm like, man, Cat, he's looking really fit this year. The Wolves are gonna be good. I'm always seeing those off-season like workout videos and shit, and I get excited.
Have you seen the video?
You're probably loving FIBA then this year.
I would love FIBA, dude. Ant's going off.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the video of Cat's, like how much he changes his voice? Like have you seen those?
I have seen a little bit of this.
What's the deal with that?
He's a weird dude. We gotta trade him for Dame, dude. Make it happen.
No.
Dame Dollar, dude.
Dame time? Oh no, what is it? Dame time?
Dame time.
Yeah.
You met Davion when you guys were in college, right? You guys are becoming buddies, you make a relationship, and when you become friends with somebody, I feel like it can be difficult to kind of separate this working relationship and your friendship relationship, especially when their money's involved.
Yeah.
And so when you're working with pro athletes specifically, not with a team, you're like one-on-one with someone who's a pro athlete.
Yep.
How does that conversation come about of money? Because it's something that has to happen. Obviously, you're there, your time is being used, you're, have a really, $7,000 camera setup that you're bringing everywhere with you. You're producing content for their platforms. How do you kind of, bring that conversation up with him or her, and what does it kind of look like?
I think it's all just about being forward and upfront and honest. And the beauty of like these athletes is they understand someone who works hard to do what they do. And they understand, like, for the most part, athletes understand like you bring value to the table. And it's like, so, hey, like this is what I'll do for this. And I think it's big on having it beforehand. Because if you kind of get into the workflow with an athlete, then it's kind of like, well, I haven't paid you yet. Why would I start paying you now? But just having that kind of upfront, honest conversation at the jump and just being completely blunt of like, hey, like this is kind of what it would be for this or that. But it's definitely tricky, like balancing friendship and business, and trying to take whether it is a business relationship into a friendship or a friendship into business relationship.
You start working with him on like an individual basis. Are you coming to him with ideas that you have for content? Like how planned out is the content that you're making him? Is it kind of something where, okay, let's go work out, I'm gonna just film a bunch of stuff and figure it out in the edit? Or is it like, are you coming to him and be like, yo, this would be really dope, this would be really dope, this would be really dope, this is the things that we need to execute this content? And then like how involved is he with it? Is he just like super trusting in you being like, yo, I know you're gonna chef, like do your thing?
Yeah, with Davion specifically, last summer he had a camera guy with him and made like a little mini movie. And so in that situation I was like, yo, like I can do this, but like a lot better. And so I was like, yo, just bring me along, and this is how I'll do it this way, and execute it this way. And if we go here, we'll do it this way. And so that was specifically planned. But a lot of other things is like pitching it. Like, hey, I think it would be dope. We're going to, I'm here in LA shooting for Tyler Hero. And so when we were out here, before we got here, I was like, we should do this, this, and this. And he was like, dope, but I also want to do this. I was like, okay, sweet. We'll do it all. Yeah. So balance of pitching and yeah.
How receptive do you feel like the players are to, I mean, you've worked with like a whole NBA team. Maybe that content's a little bit different than working with individual players. Like, do you find that these pro athletes are like down to just like do a bunch of stuff, or some people like, I don't really want that filmed, or like, how does it work with the people that you've been able to shoot?
Yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about before of like knowing when to record and when not to record. But most off-season content, one, is most successful on social media, but also most successful in relationship if you just film what they're already doing. And it kind of gets weird for the guys, or can get weird for someone if you're like, hey, I need you to say this, or can I ask you a couple questions or whatever, because then you feel like media. And that's, I think it's kind of like a known, NBA players don't love media. And so making yourself just feel like a fly on the wall, like, hey, you just live your life. I'm just going to have this red button filming. Is kind of how I've tried to go about it.
After the job's over and you're back and you're back home, How did you're obviously now working with Tyler Hero, which is awesome. What did that look like? What did that convo look like? Were you with an agent? Did you just develop a relationship with him and you got to, talking about, hey, like maybe we could do content throughout this year? What did it look like?
Yeah, it was partly they had needs and partly me just being like, hey, I can do this. And there was just a couple specific events they had going on, whether it was a camp or he was launching a pizza in Miami or he was going to do a weekend full of stuff back home. And it was just like, we want video for it. And I was like, I'm free. Like, I got you. We can do it this way. And I would do it this way. And it was just right timing, right place, and kind of just flowed. But that was not something that happened this season. Ironically, he had actually asked me to help do stuff video wise for him during the season, him and his team. And since I worked with the Heat, I couldn't, and I had to say no. And so I think I'm just really blessed that he kept me kind of in his head, and there was still availability when it came around this summer.
I have mixed feelings on Tyler Hero because, he committed to Wisconsin.
Yeah,
and
he did.
My brother and I remember he committed and we were like, all right, where's the national championship this year? Like looking at hotels, like so excited. Decommitted, went to Kentucky. It's fine.
We'll see ya.
It's fine. It's fine because like, one, we already beat Kentucky.
Okay.
He also would still be at Wisconsin if he had gone there. You know what I mean? We don't really let people go one and done. It's probably a 4-year thing. Probably would still be there. True. But it's fine. I'm over it. I love Tyler Hill in the NBA, but I had a vendetta against him for a while, and I just slowly started to like him, dude. And the bubble hero was so nasty.
Wait, were you in the bubble?
No, I wasn't. I was still at Baylor.
Yeah.
Was the bubble where he did the smirk?
Yeah.
Dude, he was a rookie, and he was walking around that bubble being like, not a single MVP vote this year, dude. He had so much confidence. It was so fun.
Ironically, I was actually a Lakers fan then, so I kind of hated him.
I was actually going to ask you that. What's that transition like going from because you probably grew up a Lakers fan, and now when you're with the Heat constantly, you probably become a giant Heat fan, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Is that weird? Do you if they play each other, who are you cheering for?
For sure.
Cheering for me, dude.
You doing any
Absolutely not.
under the table come ons when LeBron hits a shot against the Heat? No. All in on the Heat.
All in. It was weird going Lakers fan to working for the Pistons. Was very easy to stay being a Lakers fan,
Right,
because we just were not winning any games in Detroit. But jumping to Miami, I was like, nah, man, frick you guys.
Heat culture,
Yeah, man.
Did you like working more for a team or more for an individual person? And what are some of the pros and cons of both sides of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's two very different experiences. I think in season is when the pros kind of really weigh for working for a team, just because the access and you're on the team plane, you're in the team hotel, you're on the road. But right now, shooting with a guy, I'm the only camera there, and so it's flipped. So I'm the one with the access and the one shooting and getting to do life with them here. Whereas if you're with the team, you're doing it in season. I think the biggest difference though is freedom of time, because you work with the team. Braden gets to only go to the office 2 days a week. I had to go in 5. Yeah, but so that's kind of one of the bigger differences as well. Getting to work for a player to not have to go into an office 5 days a week.
Word.
Love that.
So now during the season, are you still filming him going to the game, but then you don't really do any game time stuff because it's hard to get access, or you? I guess we don't know yet.
We don't know yet. Yeah.
Word. Because you might be able to get he might have a box or something you could film from or whatever.
No, I'll be credentialed during the season.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'll probably just be y'all know where slam shooters shoot. I got that little bird's eye view.
Yeah,
I'll be up there shooting instead of on
You
the
have
baseline.
a 70 to 200?
Oh, yeah.
Or 100 to 400?
I don't know if I got that bag in me right now. But.
Dude, I told the Sony guy, I was like, you guys got to make a 100 to 400 2.8. He goes,
you don't need 2.8 for that.
He goes, dude, you don't know how big that fucking camera is. He goes, you see that 400 prime? It was massive.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, think about having a 100 to 400 zoom with that, because the 400 was a 2.8. He goes, dude, it would be massive, and it would be
Be a
too
telescope.
expensive.
You would get so cut.
Not to get into the weeds, why do you need 2.8 if you're shooting 400 mil? It's gonna be shallow as shit anyways, dude.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, but not
That's
when
why they
you're
haven't made it.
but not when you're far away though, because then it's still
It still kind of gets that. And I guess you get a little more light, whatever. We'll talk about that.
That's what I'm talking about. I got this 35 millimeter 1.4. That's my baby right now.
35-1.4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the lens.
I have a
Especially in all these-
51.4 now.
That's
I
my
love it.
pregame lens, dude. It doesn't leave the camera.
He's just
35-1.4.
ripping shots, looking at it. Dude.
So good.
Closer's playing, he's pre-gaming.
No, the best in game I was rocking 85 1. It was 1.4, but we had to have an adapter, and it got it down to 1.0.
Oh shit!
I was shooting in-game video from the baseline with an 85 millimeter 1.0.
Missing a lot of shots.
Absolutely never. I never
focused?
missed. Oh yeah, never missed.
I taught him how to pull focus.
You did not teach me how to pull focus.
Dude,
Do you even pull focus?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's solid.
I'm a sniper.
Yeah, I'm messing with you.
Righty, what is it? Oh, right is
Right is tight.
Right is tight.
Right is tight.
Right's closer.
But that's
Right is
actually
tight.
not true because every camera does different. Canon, Sony,
Yeah.
Zeiss.
Wait, really?
So don't memorize that.
Right is tight. Remember it and put it on your forehead.
Don't stop it.
Okay,
It's all feel.
you've shot.
You can just feel like left is closer for sure on this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Feel it in my
He's in
veins.
focus. I can tell.
Yeah.
You decide to leave the Heat, and how much are you able to post on your social media the stuff that you're shooting at the games?
I would have to get every post approved.
Okay, I feel like a lot of us, as just content creators, we rely on the content that we're posting on social media to maybe bring us new gigs. You had the opportunity to now, like, you were around the players, and they were picking you up to like do other shoots. Were you worried about like having your personal brand be on point with the thought that like you may be leaving and like I'm going to utilize my work to maybe get more jobs in the future? And like how close of attention do you pay to like the stuff that you post on social?
Yeah. I mean, I was not super worried about it. I kind of just tried to maintain my brand instead of, it definitely wasn't a growth year for me. The year before was in Detroit because they didn't really care as much, but since the Heat kind of had a tighter rein on it, it was, let me just maintain, let people know like I'm still doing this. And whether that was, I mean, just posting more on my story, resharing everything that went on the Heat page that I made, or something I would do is just post one-off clips that I shot in game with my 85 millimeter with just, I don't know, a great song and put it in slow-mo. Just keep my brand consistent instead of necessarily trying to grow. The growing, I guess, to get the gigs would be more reaching out and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So you got into the game because you wanted to, be closer to basketball, filming, using a camera, whatever. Do you shoot things that aren't sports related? Like, are you ever going on a trip making just like a vibey edit or like filming some trees moving and stuff? You shooting photos of flowers, like us all do?
He's a huge flower guy, dude.
Big flower guy.
So I'll mess around every once in a while.
Yeah.
And if like, somebody's paying,
Sure,
always
word.
doing that. Just did like a headshot gig for some racks. I was miserable, but you're not going to turn down the money. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to turn down the money. But every once in a while, I more so just bring either like a little film camera or I just got with the Fuji X100V.
Fun, good
and so
time.
I'll mess around with that and stuff like that. Just kind of stay creatively like, I don't know, joyful, on point. But I try to not, I really don't shoot video if it's not work because I'm kind of shooting every day already. So it's,
Feel that.
try to stay fresh.
Well, I also feel like shooting video for fun, just shooting in general, takes a lot more effort because it's not like you're going to post like a raw clip. It's like you'd actually have to get behind your computer and edit and make something if you're filming. I feel like editing photos is a lot easier and it's singular. You can take one photo, edit that, and
That's the product.
And that's the
Boom.
product.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah.
I agree. It's definitely like a more mental, like I feel like I have to go take care of this. I'm not just gonna like shoot a clip and not color it or not
right.
do anything or whatever. And I've kind of noticed like, and this is kind of something like I talk about mental health wise, like I do my best and I'm the most creative when I knock my stuff out and then just don't touch a camera for the rest of the day. And go work out or go on a drive or go get food, whatever. And so then the next day I can come back and I'm like, let's go. Instead of whatever, just try to like separate because it is a job.
Definitely.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. And I feel like you got to protect your brain, dude. We only have so many edits.
And your fucking eyes.
Yeah, bro, 100%.
Doing this. And sometimes I'll be shooting all day and then I'll look up and I'll be like, oh God, dude, like I gotta close my eyes.
About to
for an hour.
pass out.
Yeah.
You have blue light glasses?
Yeah, but I read
those
an
things
article that they
Fugazi?
don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fugazi.
So I was like, dude, I got to get
I
some.
don't think they do anything. I looked it up. I thought they did for a while, and I've convinced myself that they do, so I sleep better if I wear them, but they don't actually do anything.
I'm wearing a really badass hat right now. And
it's such a good hat,
It's
dude.
a great hat. Get a bucket. You're on camera. I'll link it below. Throw you a link below, dude. Come on.
Appreciate you.
You're going to sell out. That's crazy.
such a sick hat.
Insane.
Just made me so much money.
Are you working on something right now that you can share with us on this podcast?
Yeah, me and my two good friends, Max Gilberg, Chase McCann, and my third good friend, Colin Griggs. He's our finance guy.
Just forgetting friends. It
Yeah,
happens.
I am. The creative world knows those are the first two, not the third one. But we are starting an agency and we are going to be focusing on creative direction for athletes, whether that's managing social pages, handling brand deal content or whatever, as well as high level production. But we soft launched that company with this hat.
Nice.
That says, get a bucket, you're on camera. Play off of Smile, you're on camera, except it basketball players sees it, they might be like, oh frick, I gotta get a bucket, they're recording me.
Can't miss that shot.
Are you focusing strictly on basketball, or are you doing all sorts of sports?
We're gonna do all sorts of sports.
Nice.
Max has some great contacts in football. He's done some work with DeAndre Hopkins and some other guys, and so we'll be covering our bases. But yeah,
what do you think when covering a player? What if someone, maybe someone's at the college level, they're working with someone for NIL, or maybe they're at the pro level. What actually allows athletes to help grow their brand? What have you noticed? You've worked at 3 different teams. You've worked personally for some people. What actually helps an athlete brand grow?
I think it's something that people miss, is that they're like the same way you'll process like an influencer. Why are they an influencer? Because they have a lane. And then so with the player, what is their brand? Obviously they're an athlete, but what do you like to do? What do you enjoy? Who do you want to be known as? And so that's conversations you have with the athlete. I had with the athlete. And for some reason I was smart enough when I was at Baylor to have that conversation with the guys there. And so being able to kind of have that, it just controls all the content you put out. Whether the guy wants to be known as a hard worker or a family guy, a great teammate, or he's kind of got like a rock star thing to him, or like maybe he has there's a bad word on the street about him that maybe this guy, parties too much, or he's a bad teammate, and you want to kind of put content out that says the opposite. Or maybe there's a brand they want to work with. Something like that.
I always think it's fun though. I've been watching a lot of Netflix documentaries, like the Untold Stories. I think it's kind of dope. Like now kind of everything's kind of out there with like social media and stuff. Sure. But back in the day, before social media was popping, you're like, dude, is Johnny Manziel just fucking crazy? And then like the story comes out, you're like, yeah, he kind of was.
Dude, it's happening right now with Hard Knocks. I hated Aaron Rodgers my whole life because I'm a Vikings fan, right?
Yeah.
He just torched us. Now he's on the Jets, he's on Hard Knocks. He's fucking coolest, dude. And it's just like this. It's good though, because it's like they're all like, God, he's such a nice guy, and you hear this weird stuff about him in the media, and they're like, TV's wrong, dude. Aaron Rodgers rocks.
Let's go.
And I'm like, he does kind of rock. I feel like that stuff is so important, and it's so cool, and it changes your whole perception about like giving sports like a little story before then you see the season. Yeah, just changed. Like now I'm like kind of a Jets fan all of a sudden. Like on the side, like I'll probably root for them when they're not playing the Vikes.
Let's go. Yeah, like to kind of specifically say it, like me and Tyler have been doing stuff for a couple months now, and we were at his camp like 2 weeks ago in Miami, and this dad came up to me and he was like, are you the guy doing the video stuff for Tyler? I was like, yeah, I have been. And he was like, I just want you to know my son was in an argument last night with his friend of who's his favorite player, and he said Tyler because he's real and you get to see what he's doing with his life. Wow. And it was just like, wow, like people actually like notice these silly little videos I'm making for Instagram or for TikTok or for whatever. People watch what they're doing. We're blessed enough to like be around, whether it's DJs, athletes, teams, cars, whatever. Like people like care, and I think we kind of forget sometimes we get to be around this stuff and see it every day. But there's people itching to see what these guys are doing. These people, whatever.
You go. I'm always getting like is the new Santa Fe gonna have reclining seats, dude? It's like, shut up, dude. I don't know. Every year, dude. It's like, bring the stinger back.
Is it?
Yeah, dude. They got tech and fun day. But it's like, I don't know, dude. Who cares? Just buy the car.
I was gonna say though, it's
a crazy DM to get
all the time, dude.
Comment section.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, bring the Kia Stinger back. It's like, you think I am in charge of that?
Chase walks in the corporate building. Gotta talk to somebody. Never believe the message I got.
Stinger, it's back.
It is always nice though to get recognition as the videographer, the person behind the content, because I feel like people are just scrolling on Instagram or TikTok and they see the content and it makes them love the player, but you forget that they're not the ones making the product. And it's really nice if somebody goes out of their way to be like, oh, did you make that video? Like, I love that. Like I remember talking to like Lon Ray. We have our roommate, he shoots for a DJ and like he makes really sick recap videos, and he'll get love at like these festivals and these concerts, like people coming up to him like, dude, I fucking love your videos. And like,
oh, that's awesome.
That like makes it worth it for
sure.
I feel like us as videographers, like getting props for what we're doing. Cause it's a very like isolating job.
I feel like it's thankless.
Right. Totally.
Key. It's expected of you to do great and like make it great. And it's like, it's so cool when someone does like be like, you make that video.
Right.
I love that video. I'm
Right.
like, fuck yes. Someone watched
sure.
there's a real person behind that view count that actually consumed it and enjoyed it.
Totally.
And even the way the content is consumed nowadays, like you put out one piece of content, okay, we're on to the next. Like
Yeah, you don't
that
even
last
get to-
piece of content gets forgotten about in a way.
Totally.
And especially when like somebody comes up to you in person, like comments are cool, whatever,
Yes.
but like nobody's like, people are just throwing comments up these
Right.
days. And so when somebody grabs you in person, like, yo, that thing was dope. It's like, wow. All right, cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you. It really warms your heart.
It does.
I was super awkward. But then later, I'm like,
It's just like you like those
gets in his
reclined
room.
seats,
yes,
huh?
come on.
This is a series called Stock and Talk, where
Oh, no.
pop into the gram, scroll deep, and I pull out a photo, and I want you to tell me the story of this specific picture.
Wow. I mean, this is pretty fantastic one you picked here.
I just popped it up on the screen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thanks.
You guys see it?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I did it.
so-
I did it. I popped it up. It's here.
Oh, it's right there?
It's right here.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that photo, no, I'm playing. It was
It'll be right here.
summer 21. This summer, we didn't really touch on it, but I had been running content for an NBA trainer named Alex Bazell. He was Carmelo Anthony's trainer, Kyrie Irving's trainer, Trey Young's trainer. And I say that just to say it was a very good summer. Ended up building a strong relationship with Melo. And we ended up doing a lot of work for him that summer. But at the end of it was he had me come to New York to run his content for a book release. Because he ran a book and so did that. And this was a moment we were riding from a book event in his Maybach to his house to go have dinner. It was safe to say it was a cool night.
Maybach music. That's
Shout out
tight.
Ross, but
That's
yeah,
so
that was
cool.
that was a cool night. I remember so funny. I FaceTimed my parents while I was in the car, and I had them screen record it so I could get footage of myself with Mello in a Maybach.
Yeah. Clever. Sneaky.
That's so funny.
It's actually so smart.
I'm just surprised
feel
he
good about
has.
Corded headphones.
String
Yeah.
headphones.
Those
Oh,
are
yeah.
bad. Those are in sometimes.
He
People
does.
are rocking those.
What's good?
Yeah,
No,
especially in
no
New York.
AirPods.
It's a thing. It's a thing. I bought some the other day and I was like, yeah.
The
Corded
corded
ones?
ones?
Oh yeah.
I just coming back, dude.
Oh yeah.
It's vintage.
Yes, bro. Oh yeah. And then it got caught on one thing, and I was like, I'm
Yep.
done.
Yep.
I'm done.
Yep.
So
AirPods.
fun. AirPods, back to them. What do you hope to accomplish back in these next 3 to 6 months as you head back to Miami? You're getting to work with someone awesome. You have, this whole year is like a blank canvas, I feel like, for you. What do you really want to accomplish going forward?
I think this is a time where I'm gonna grow a lot. And like I've kind of spent the past 2 years like learning a little bit here and there, but I think I'm ready to kind of expand as a creative, expand what I can do, my network, the kind of the brands I touch, the way I'm able to grow Tyler's brand, all that kind of stuff. Get to the moon and honestly, yeah, try to help tell his story in the best way I can. Yeah,
It's exciting times.
it really is.
What do you
Blessed.
think? What do you think makes a good story in a piece? Like, how are you able? Like, I guess, what are techniques you can use in a video piece to better tell a story?
Like specific like video editing
Yeah.
techniques
For sport, let's do sports specifically.
I think in sports videos where a lot of people go wrong is the cuts they make. Whether it's they break the 180 degree rule or they cut, like if you're trying to make a cut while someone's shooting a jump shot and you cut at the wrong time, it kind of blows. But the best way to tell a story in sports is audio. And whether it's taking a little more time to download some audio bites of somebody, oh, Jimmy Butler has missed the last 4 games, and he's coming, like just little audio bits kind of take your story to a real next level. That's something the Heat really ingrained in me, and I'm grateful they taught me.
Yeah, I feel like sports, more than any other, like there's no media coverage about the new Hyundai. There's not really media coverage. Well, like audio stuff.
Auto trends. Oh, I get what
You
you're
know what I'm saying?
saying.
Like, there's no Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless debating.
I was so confused. I thought it was just like a shit on
No,
Chase.
no,
I was
no,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
Jesus
It's actually
Christ.
not any
yeah,
video.
I was like, there's a lot of like motorsports. I'm thinking, okay, I get
Like,
you.
but
though.
there's-
Yes,
totally.
I
there's
got you.
no, like-
yes, there's not
there's
like
no-
an announcer
Yeah.
giving the Hyundai Genesis is going for the fucking roundabout around the world.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
It's got to be something
can
in
it
F1.
make it? Is the moment too big?
I I guess what I'm saying is like no other.
It's like, Max Kellerman, who do you want? What car do you want if you're driving home? I want the Santa Fe.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic advertisement.
Yeah, right? Actually,
We might have just given you something.
Dude, that could be funny. But I feel like there's no other niche that you have those audio bits, and I feel like
That's so
you're
true.
right. Thinking about great sports videos, the stories like come from the audio bites, from like the media.
Yep. Even if it's like in documentaries, you sit people down for interviews. Like it's so funny, like knowing, like watching a documentary and they like say, oh, so and so at the Journal. Like I was around that version. We're around those versions of the Heat, and I'm like, dude, that person's just like a person who happened to be there. They don't actually know parts of the story, but it's just the fact that you have someone talking about it. It's like, oh, like shit, this is fire. Oh, this moment was crazy. Like, and so audio goes a lot farther than people think about.
BFIGGY SFX pack, link below.
I use it in all my videos.
I have a question for you. What is some advice for your 18-year-old self to tie us in a bow here?
Yeah, my story has been defined by change, and 18-year-old Trey was frightened deeply by change. I think I would tell myself, don't be afraid to make a jump, because I've gotten to where I am by whether it's quitting something or moving across the country or moving across the country again, or just not being afraid to make a jump to, I don't know, what I feel like is best in the moment, and take a little risk. Bet on myself, as the kids are saying these days.
I'm excited to see what you continue to do this year. I'm stoked for you. Get a bucket. You're on camera. It'll be linked below. Help the boys get to 200 likes. Let's run this fucking video up. 200 likes. Hit the sub button. Leave it a like. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Bye.
Later.